All right, let's talk about a huge shift happening in business right now. We're going from the absolute chaos of old school spreadsheets to the slick, streamlined control of digital inventory systems. And trust me, this isn't just a simple software update. It's a total game changer for how companies can run, compete, and really start to grow.
So be honest for a second. Are you or is your company still stuck in spreadsheet land trying to keep track of everything on the shelves? Yeah, if that's you, you definitely know the feeling, right? The constant frustration when the numbers just don't match what's actually there. That little panic attack when you realize you're out of a bestseller, or that sinking feeling when you see you've ordered way too much of something nobody's buying.
Look, these aren't just small headaches, they're major, costly problems. All that manual data entry is just asking for mistakes. And because the data is never, ever live, you're always playing catch up. This kind of guesswork is what leads straight to empty shelves or warehouses full of dead stock. It's an unreliable system that just can't keep up when your business starts to take off.
But you know what? There is a much better way to do things. The solution is to move from all that manual guesswork to a digital system where everything is connected. So let's break down exactly what that looks like.
This move to digital, it's not just about getting a new piece of software. It's about a complete change in how you think and operate. It's about flipping the script. From constantly being in firefighting mode, fixing problems after they happen, to getting ahead of them and preventing them from ever happening in the first place. Here's the difference in a nutshell. On one hand, you've got the old way. It's manual, it's slow, and it's full of guesswork. On the other hand, you have the new reality. It's automated, it's proactive, and you have real-time data that gives you a crystal clear picture of everything. It's the difference between trying to fix yesterday's mistakes and actually planning for tomorrow's opportunities.
Okay, so what's the engine that's actually powering this whole digital revolution? Well, it's not just one thing. It's a combination of three key technologies all working together to create a system that's genuinely intelligent.
First up, you've got cloud technology. This is the bedrock, the foundation of the whole thing. Think of it as the central hub for every single piece of your inventory data. It makes that information available whether you're in a warehouse in Texas, a storefront in New York, or at your home office. Everything syncs up instantly, which completely smashes those communication silos we mentioned. Next, there's the Internet of Things, or IoT. Now, this is cool. Imagine giving every single item in your inventory its own little GPS tracker and a voice. That's what IoT does. Smart sensors and RFID tags can automatically tell you where an item is and what its status is. This is the tech that makes that real-time, end-to-end tracking a reality, from the moment something hits your loading dock to the second it gets into a customer's hands. And finally, we have artificial intelligence, or AI. So, if the cloud is the central hub and IoT is gathering all the data, AI is the brain that turns all that information into a winning strategy. It doesn't just look at what you sold last month. It analyzes market trends, shipping delays, even things like weather patterns to predict what your customers will want next, and it does it with stunning accuracy. It turns a fire hose of data into clear, smart advice. So, what does all this cool tech actually do for a business day to day? Well, the impact isn't just some abstract idea. We're talking about real, tangible results that can completely change how you operate and compete in your market. This is where the rubber meets the road. Picture this. You've got robots picking and packing orders 24/7 with near perfect accuracy. Your AI is predicting the holiday rush so well that you never run out of stock. You're shipping from multiple warehouses to get orders to customers faster and cheaper. A sale in your physical store instantly updates the stock count on your website. It all boils down to two things: saving a ton of money and making your customers incredibly happy. And hey, don't just take my word for it. Listen to a real user, Wes Brown from Blacklaw. He's talking about using a SKU velocity report, which basically tells him how fast a specific item is selling, so he knows exactly how many days of stock he has left. That kind of visibility is what lets you make smart, confident decisions instead of just guessing. Okay, so this all sounds great, but the big question is, how do you actually get there? I know it can seem like a huge undertaking, but making the switch can be broken down into a clear, totally manageable plan. So the roadmap really starts with figuring out what you actually need and then picking the right software. But listen, the two steps you absolutely cannot skip are training your team, because a fancy tool is useless if nobody knows how to use it right, and then committing to constantly tweaking and improving the system once it's up and running. And the really good news is that the market is full of options. There really is a solution for every type of business. The key is finding the right fit for you. A small startup might get by perfectly with a free tool from Zoho to start. But a food distributor, they're going to need the heavy-duty compliance tracking you get from a system like Activate. It's all about matching the tool to your business, not trying to force your business to fit the tool. All right, let's talk about the elephant in the room, the cost. And yes, of course, there's an upfront investment, but you have to weigh that against the hidden costs you're already paying with the old system. Think about the money you lose on every sale you miss because something was out of stock, the cash that's just sitting there tied up in products that aren't selling, and the damage to reputation every time an order is wrong. The investment pays for itself, big time. So I'm going to leave you with this one question to think about. Right now, is your inventory a liability? Just a huge expensive headache you have to manage? Or, with the right digital tools, could it become your greatest strategic asset? The very thing that powers your growth and keeps your customers coming back? Because with today's technology, that choice is entirely up to you.
Okay, let's unpack this. In a world where, goods move across continents and just land on your doorstep in days, have you ever really stopped to think about the magic behind it all? Those perfectly stocked shelves, whether it's like your local grocery or, Amazon. Today, we're diving deep into the surprisingly complex and, well, rapidly evolving world of inventory management. Our mission here is to kind of cut through the noise. We want to explore the cutting-edge trends, the technologies, the strategies that are completely revolutionizing how businesses keep track of their goods. And we've got a fantastic stack of sources for you today, some really illuminating articles, sharp industry insights, and a fascinating real-world case study we'll get into.
And if you're wondering why now, why this topic is so urgent, it's because recent global events, I mean, everything from the COVID-19 pandemic shutting down factories to shifting geopolitical landscapes have forced businesses across every single industry to fundamentally rethink their entire inventory playbook.
Yeah.
The old ways of just sort of stockpiling or hoping for the best, they just don't cut it anymore.
Yeah, not at all.
So this deep dive, it's really designed to give you a shortcut, to provide those essential aha moments. You need to truly grasp these critical shifts and be, well, properly informed about the modern supply chain.
That's right. It's definitely more than just counting boxes now. So, okay, let's ground ourselves first, the basics. What is inventory management, really, at its core?
Well, fundamentally, inventory management is how businesses make sure they always have the right amount of goods on hand. Simple as that sounds, it covers everything.
Everything.
Yeah, from the raw supplies they need to build products all the way to the finished items just sitting there waiting to be sold.
Yeah.
It's a really delicate dance involving how much stock you have, where it's stored, how it's priced, the logistics of moving it around, and all the intricate details of the entire supply chain.
Right.
And traditionally, this has been a massive, often manual undertaking involving lots of different teams.
I remember a summer job I had, counting inventory in this cramped back room. I'm pretty sure my count was off by, at least a dozen boxes of these really heavy, awkward ones.
Oh, I bet.
It really brings home why human error is such a huge problem with those manual methods. But even with more structured approaches, I mean, no single traditional method is perfect for every business.
Oh, exactly.
Like you've got just-in-time, JIT, that aims to minimize storage, minimize overhead by having materials arrive exactly when needed. Sounds great for cost. But, as we saw during the pandemic, incredibly fragile when disruptions hit.
Extremely fragile, yeah.
Then there's materials requirement planning, or MRP. That's more about reliably sourcing manufacturing materials, especially for complex production lines.
Right, keeping the factory running smoothly.
And economic order quantity, EOQ, that's the mathematical one, trying to hit that sweet spot to minimize all the related costs, order costs, potential shortage costs, and the cost of just holding the inventory.
And going back to your point about counting, there are also those two traditional systems, perpetual versus periodic.
Ah, yes.
A perpetual system is like a live feed. Every sale, every shipment received, it's all updated in real time. Often uses point-of-sale systems, barcode scanners, that kind of thing.
Okay.
It gives you incredibly accurate, right up to the minute data, but, and it's a big but, it demands investment in the right tech and proper staff training.
Makes sense.
A periodic system, on the other hand, relies on those manual physical audits you mentioned, usually done once an accounting period ends.
Right.
It's cheaper, no doubt, especially for smaller businesses, but you completely lack that real-time snapshot. You're flying a bit blind between counts.
So when you combine all that, the manual counting, the delayed updates, the lack of real-time data,
Yeah.
what's the kind of the big problem this creates for businesses?
The big problem, well, it boils down to inefficiency and waste. Simple as that. Think about it. Human error, like you said,
Yeah.
reacting too slowly to market shifts,
Yeah.
making wildly inaccurate forecasts. If we look at that lean manufacturing concept of muda, which basically means waste, traditional methods often create a lot of it. Excess stock ties up capital. Poor quality control leads to rework. Slow responsiveness means missed sales opportunities. The goal is always, always to reduce that waste. And, well, manual systems are just inherently prone to it.
So you, the listener, might be thinking, okay, this sounds like a ton of spreadsheets and manual counting. And yeah, for many businesses, it still is. But, and this is the key thing, for many others, the game has changed. What's really driving this profound shift away from those manual methods we just talked about?
It's a full-on digital revolution,
Right.
honestly. We're witnessing a complete move from those slow, error-prone manual processes to automated software-driven systems. Systems that offer just unprecedented real-time visibility and control. And what's truly fascinating is how several key technologies are converging, working together to make all this happen.
Okay, so what's underpinning this digital shift? What's the foundation?
First up, you've got cloud technology. And it's way more than just, offloading your IT headaches.
Right.
It's about turning your entire global supply chain into a single intelligent entity. Imagine a factory in Asia instantly, automatically telling a distribution center in Europe that a new batch of products is shipped.
Wow.
That allows online stores to update their stock levels before the goods have even left the port. That kind of real-time global synchronization. It fundamentally shrinks lead times and prevents these massive, really costly miscommunications. It's become absolutely essential, especially, with the rise of hybrid work models.
Okay, so the cloud provides this crucial foundation, making data accessible everywhere. But how do we actually get that data from the physical world, from the shelves, from the trucks, and get it into the cloud? That's where something like the Internet of Things comes in, right?
Precisely. Yeah. The Internet of Things, or IoT, takes that cloud tech even further. It integrates virtually everything into the network. We're talking scanners, loading bays, your equipment. Even the goods themselves can have sensors.
The goods themselves.
Yeah, potentially. Think about IoT sensors like maybe ultrasonic sensors in a bin. They can enable real-time monitoring of stock levels, automatically triggering alerts when they're running low, or even kicking off automated reorder processes. Imagine your shelves literally telling you when they need restocking. It's like giving your entire warehouse a nervous system.
That's a powerful analogy, a nervous system. Okay. And once you have all that data streaming in from the cloud, from the IoT sensors, that's where artificial intelligence, AI, and machine learning, ML, step in, isn't it? That's where the thinking happens.
Exactly. AI and ML are essentially the brains of this whole operation. They provide constant improvement because they're learning from this continuous flood of data. They help integrate inventory movement across the whole system. They identify those subtle weaknesses that maybe increase costs, like, for example, pinpointing if a specific product's packaging consistently leads to shipping damage.
Oh, okay. Subtle stuff.
Yeah, things you might miss otherwise. And they can even enable things like predictive picking. And crucially, the more data they ingest from IoT, the more powerful and accurate AI and ML become at optimizing, everything.
So if AI and ML are learning from all this data, what kind of practical impact does that have on the ground, say in a busy warehouse?
Well, that leads us directly into data analytics for predictive picking. Once all that data is recorded, analyzed, AI can significantly boost picking rates in the warehouse. How? It can reveal which products are commonly purchased together or maybe buying patterns of specific customer types. This allows for optimized placement of goods within the warehouse.
Right, putting things together that often ship together.
Exactly. And sometimes it's even possible to begin picking orders before they're actually placed, based purely on predicted demand.
Really? Before the order?
Yeah, which can lead to incredibly faster delivery times. Think about what that does for customer satisfaction.
Less time spent wandering the aisles, more time getting products out the door to customers. That sounds like a huge win. And what about the actual physical movement of products within the warehouse itself?
That's where warehouse automation really comes into its own. And it directly helps reduce labor costs. I mean, maintaining robots often costs less than employee wages in the long run. You have things like automatic guided vehicles, AGVs, which have been around for a while. But now advancements in AI and ML, coupled with decreasing equipment costs, are making autonomous mobile robots, or AMRs, even more intelligent, more flexible, more capable.
Okay, AMRs.
Yeah, both AGVs and AMRs are becoming pretty essential for a truly automated warehouse operation.
So let's boil this down. For you, the listener, what does all this digital transformation really mean? It's about having real-time visibility into everything, vastly improved accuracy, fewer human errors, massive efficiency gains through automation, significant cost reduction by preventing those costly stockouts, or equally bad, overstocking, faster order fulfillment, definitely enhanced customer satisfaction, making decisions based on data, not guesswork, better demand forecasting, a supply chain that can actually scale up or down, and better collaboration across the whole chain. It's a complete paradigm shift.
It truly is. But, this raises an important question. If these technologies offer so many compelling benefits, why isn't every single company fully digital yet?
Good question.
And it often comes down to the immense implementation challenges, the significant upfront investment needed, and crucially, the need for new skill sets within the workforce. It's a really big undertaking, not just a simple plug-and-play solution.
That's a crucial point. So it's not just about buying the tech, it's about how businesses adapt and integrate it. Let's maybe transition then to broader strategic approaches, things that complement this technology. Because inventory management isn't just about what's inside the four walls of the warehouse anymore, is it? It's about a much more holistic, interconnected view.
Precisely, yeah. The scope is really widened.
Mm.
One key evolving strategy is multi-warehousing.
Okay.
This means distributing your inventory across multiple regions or even globally. Think of Amazon's massive network, right? It allows for geographically streamlined supply chains, much faster delivery times to customers, and critically important these days, resilience during local emergencies. Think lockdowns, natural disasters, things like that.
Yeah, you're not reliant on one single hub.
Exactly. And this strategy absolutely relies on robust cloud technology to coordinate everything seamlessly across all those locations.
And what about for smaller businesses? The ones that maybe don't have Amazon's kind of resources. How do they get access to these advanced methods?
That's where third-party logistics, or 3PLs, become invaluable. This is essentially outsourcing your inventory management, your warehousing, your shipping to specialist companies. It eliminates the need for small to medium-sized businesses, SMBs, to make those huge, costly capital investments in software and equipment. It makes these advanced methods much more accessible, usually through ongoing service fees. It really democratizes sophisticated inventory practices.
Okay, so that opens the door for more players. Now, we mentioned AI predicting what customers will buy. Does that get even more personal?
Oh, absolutely. We're seeing a big push towards smart inventory forecasting and personalization. AI and data analytics provide incredibly precise insights for making better purchasing decisions, getting more accurate demand forecasts. That's the smart forecasting part. Personalization takes it a step further, suggesting products to customers based on their past habits, maybe things they've browsed, and in some cases even pre-ordering products based on expected future purchases, just to ensure faster delivery when the customer does order.
Wow, anticipating demand almost before the customer even knows they want something.
Pretty much, yeah. It's about getting ahead of the curve.
That's next level stuff. What else are we seeing strategically? Especially, after the major disruptions we've all experienced in the last few years.
So safety stock has definitely seen renewed importance.
Right, the buffer.
Exactly, the buffer stock. This is the intentional practice of keeping a bit of extra inventory on hand. It protects against unexpected production changes, maybe machinery malfunctions, supply chain interruptions, or sudden spikes in customer demand. It's a crucial hedge against uncertainty, and businesses are really rethinking what their optimal safety stock levels should be post-COVID.
Makes sense. More caution.
Definitely. And we're also witnessing a strong move towards building sustainable and resilient supply chains. This is achieved partly through vastly improved communication again, enabled by cloud, AI, IoT, and also by decentralizing inventory methods, like that multi-warehousing we talked about. It reduces dependency on a single region or a single supplier, making the entire chain much more robust against shocks.
And how does all this tech and strategy translate directly into the customer experience? What do they see?
That's where omnichannel customer service really comes in. It's about providing customers with, real-time order status updates, immediate alerts if there are any issues. It even extends in some cases to giving customers direct access to certain supply chain, warehouse, and distribution data for true transparency. This trend really picked up during the pandemic, building trust and loyalty. People want to know where their stuff is.
Absolutely. Transparency builds trust.
For sure. And finally, maybe a bit overlooked sometimes, but crucial. With all these tremendous changes happening so fast, businesses are realizing the importance of investing in their inventory managers. They're reinvesting in training, sending people on courses, getting certifications, attending seminars, just to ensure their managers are fully up to date with all new technologies and these sophisticated methods. The human element, the skilled person navigating this complexity, remains absolutely vital.
That's a great point. It's not just about the machines. So clearly, this whole thing is about moving way beyond simply counting boxes. It's moving towards a deeply integrated, data-driven, highly adaptive system. Now, these strategies, they sound powerful in theory, offering incredible potential. But how do they actually play out when, the rubber meets the road, especially for a complex global manufacturer dealing with diverse materials and unpredictable markets? Let's turn to our fascinating case study. LT China. They're one of the world's largest manufacturers of things like residential basketball equipment, polyethylene tables, outdoor storage sheds. Big stuff.
Yeah, LT China's approach is a really great real-world example because it shows them balancing centralized and decentralized strategies depending entirely on the specific material they're dealing with.
Okay, how so?
Well, for their PLE bead, that's a key strategic raw material for them. It's purchased and controlled centrally by their U.S. headquarters. This gives them economies of scale in buying. However, they face unstable lead times from suppliers and frequent production schedule changes. This historically meant they kept a very high safety stock. We're talking around 500,000 kilograms, just to avoid running out.
500,000 kilos. That's a lot of buffer.
It is. Now, for packaging materials, which are highly customized for different products and destinations, management is decentralized. They actually order 2 lead times before production is scheduled, mainly due to potential quality instability from suppliers. This means they hold higher inventories of packaging, but it helps keep their production schedule stable.
Interesting trade-off there.
Definitely. And then for the steel frame components, these are large volume, also customized to use a decentralized just-in-time JIT approach. Here, LT China works extremely closely with local suppliers. They share production schedules constantly. They even assign their own staff to work directly with their counterparts at the supplier. High quality from the supplier is absolutely critical for this GIT model to work effectively.
Okay, so different strategies for different materials. Now, here's where we see the application of some of those advanced models and concepts we just discussed, right? How LT China tries to optimize these different flows.
Exactly. This is where it gets practical. For their PLE bead, the one with the high safety stock, they utilize something called a rolling horizon flexibility, RHF, contract, with their main supplier.
RHF contract.
Yeah. It basically allows them to adjust their order sizes based on updated production schedules, but within predefined flexibility percentages. For example, they might have a 20% adjustment window several days out from delivery, but that narrows down to maybe only 5% flexibility right when the order is formally placed. This helps them react better to demand changes closer to the time. But challenges still arise, If demand shifts beyond those flexibility limits, or if schedules continue to change rapidly even during the lead time, it can still negatively impact production.
So it helps, but it's not a silver bullet.
Not entirely, no. But to tackle that massive 500,000 kilogram safety stock of PLE bead, they did some serious data crunching. They analyzed their historical daily demand and lead time data. They actually used statistical tests, like the Shapiro-Wilk test, to confirm their demand was predictable enough following a normal distribution. This allowed them to apply advanced mathematical models to precisely calculate optimal safety stock levels, and the results were striking. They found they could potentially cut that 500,000 kilogram buffer by nearly half, saving significant inventory costs while still guaranteeing an extremely high 99.997% service level, meaning almost zero chance of stockouts.
Wow, nearly half, just by analyzing the data properly.
Exactly. And the key takeaway for them was that reducing the variability, the standard deviation, in both their daily and their supplier lead times was the biggest lever for optimization. Things like sharing shipment information better with logistics companies could unlock huge savings.
That's a massive potential saving from just understanding their data better. Incredible. What about the steel frames, the JIT ones?
Right. For the steel frame, they implement vendor-managed inventory, or VMI.
VMI, like the supplier manages it.
Precisely. Think of VMI like having your fridge automatically restock itself.
Yeah.
Maybe your milk supplier sees when you're low through a sensor and just delivers more without you even having to place an order. It's kind of like that. LT China's steel frame suppliers get access to LT's real production demand information directly, and they automatically replenish the stock. This allows LT China to hold basically zero steel frame inventory themselves.
Zero inventory. That's bold.
It is. But supplier selection is absolutely critical here. They focus on suppliers who are nearby and highly responsive. Now, information sharing is still a bit of a challenge for them. They don't have a common ERP system interface with these suppliers, so they still rely on things like email, fax, phone, and have dedicated staff coordinating constantly. But the JIT delivery itself is incredibly precise. We're talking frames arriving just 30 minutes before they're needed on the assembly line.
30 minutes. Talk about cutting it fine.
Very fine. And for urgent, unexpected orders, the suppliers maintain a strategic inventory of raw, unpainted frames and use postponement. They only spray the required color at the very last minute when the specific order details are known.
That's a great example of postponement. Can you give us another one, maybe for the packaging?
Absolutely. And for their packaging materials, LT China employs a similar, quite clever strategy, also using postponement. Think of it like a generic T-shirt company. Instead of pre-printing thousands of shirts with every possible customer logo, they produce loads of blank shirts. Then, only when an order comes in do they add the specific custom logo.
Right, customize at the last minute.
Exactly. LT China's packaging suppliers produce general boxes, maybe with some blank columns or areas on the label. And then only after LT China has actually packaged the product do they add custom stickers with the specific PO number, destination, all that final detail. This lets the suppliers produce packaging in larger, more efficient batches. It simplifies quality control for LT China. And it enables JIT delivery of packaging from the suppliers, reducing LT's own inventory holding.
Smart. But are there downsides?
Yeah, there are challenges. You need customer agreement for this kind of stricter approach sometimes.
Yeah.
And it might not be feasible for very small, highly custom orders where a fully unique box is essential.
Okay, so what's really fascinating here, looking at LT China, their experience shows us that while all this advanced inventory management stuff sounds great in theory, in practice, you always have to carefully balance the costs and the benefits. It's definitely not a one-size-fits-all solution.
You're hitting on a really crucial point there. Sometimes LT China's managers actually tolerate higher inventory levels for very practical, maybe even counterintuitive reasons.
Like what?
Well, warehouse costs in mainland China where they operate are often relatively cheap. They might have favorable payment terms with suppliers, meaning they defer payments, so the inventory ties up less of their capital immediately. And the long product life cycles of their goods, basketball hoops, sheds, they don't become obsolete overnight like, say, smartphones.
Ah, interesting context.
Yeah. So the case study concludes with some solid practical recommendations for companies like LT China. Keep cultivating skilled supply chain management professionals, the human element again. Establish deep, strategic partnerships with key suppliers. Keep improving the IT infrastructure for better data flow. And standardize processes wherever possible to reduce errors and variability. It's all about continuous evolution and finding the right balance.
And that really brings us towards the end of our deep dive today into modern inventory management. We've seen how cloud, IoT, AI, and these smart strategies are moving businesses from just reactive stock keeping towards truly proactive, predictive, and even personalized operations.
It's a profound shift, yeah, towards real-time data, automated processes, and much more collaborative supply chains. And it's all driven by this continuous pursuit of efficiency, cost reduction, and ultimately enhanced customer satisfaction. And understanding these trends, it isn't just for business owners or managers. It actually impacts every single product you buy and every service you use, often in ways you don't even realize. Knowledge is, well, it's most valuable when it's understood and applied, right?
Indeed. Couldn't agree more. So thinking about how meticulously businesses are now optimizing their inventory, driven by all this real-time data and predictive analytics, here's a final thought for you, our listener. What unaddressed inefficiencies might exist in your daily life or perhaps your work? Areas that could potentially be revolutionized by applying a similar deep dive approach. How might you apply these principles of real-time monitoring, data analysis, strategic optimization to areas you might have previously just thought were the way things are? Something to mull over.